everybody, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of my Devlog series. Recently we hit 10 subscribers, and thank you to everybody who subscribed. As of recording this, voiceover, we have 15 subscribers, so that's pretty cool. I did tweet on my Twitter that if we hit 10 subs this week, I would post a public alpha. By the time this video is live, my public alpha will be ready on neoalphagames.itch.io, and you can check out the alpha. If you have any suggestions or feedback on how the game plays, you can leave it in the itch.io page comments, or the comment section of this video, or just tweet at me on Twitter. Now, on to the updates I made to my game this week. This week I added some new weapons, new enemies, and grenades, and some art updates. First thing I did was obviously the grenades, because I think the grenades is probably the biggest update so far. And you know what they say, grenade boom, grenade cool. I didn't really plan anything ahead though. I just have like a very, very brief outline on a Trello list I have, which I've linked in the description, and it's also on the pinned comment if anybody's into that. First thing I did for the grenade was draw it in Photoshop. After that, I imported it into Unity, and then I made some upgrades to my weapon system and my weapon pickup scripts. I had to add support for explosive weapons, so I added a weapon type enumerator so you could tell your weapon scriptable object what type of weapon you have, a gun, a melee weapon, or an explosive weapon. I also added an explosive value to the ammo type so that I can swap the ammo display icon to a grenade when you have an explosive weapon. And for now, you can only have grenades as your explosive weapon, but I'll add maybe like TNT later, so yeah, it's a good start. Then I wrote some code to incorporate the explosions. So I also added a countdown in the weapon pickup script, so it counts down however many seconds and then it explodes. Then I made my explosion system more efficient by moving all of the explosion parts of the explosion to the particle system, because before that the barrel handled all of the damage and the force added, but now that's all in the explosion particle system, so it's going to be much easier to work with and much more efficient. Then I added that functionality of the explosion to the grenade, and now the grenades are fully functional. After that, I added grenade enemies. I just took the regular gun enemies and then added a grenade on them. Then I wrote a new script called grenade enemy, and they just throw grenades at you every few seconds. Also, I added a P90 SMG because it's cool, it's a cool gun. Just not when I draw it, then it sucks. So I added that in, and then it's pretty OP. You can just melt life bars with it, but it wastes all your ammo. Next, I wanted to add some spicy stuff to my game, and by that I just mean I need to add some art updates, because right now I literally only have 2 background tiles, which is the ugly brick and the solid color floor. So I added a new grunge textured light floor, or light back wall, and a grunge textured dark back wall, and then I made the brick a bit lighter because I think the game right now is just too dark, like as in visually speaking. I mentioned in my last devlog episode that I wanted to make my bosses more difficult, and I did this by buffing Chad first of all. Chad now has a larger shooting range, so instead of if you're within 10 units, he detects whether you're in 12 units and shoots. I did nerf his speed a bit, so to balance like his gun buff out, and I also gave him a bit more health. Then I added a new boss enemy called Derek. Derek is basically the grenade enemy, but he's really buff, and he throws grenades in the form of exploding basketballs. Unlike Chad, Derek doesn't run around, he just drops bombs at his feet, and then teleports to you. Well, he just uses the force exploded from his bombs and just explodes to your position. He just flies to you, and I think that's a cool part of his boss battle. Then he just drops bombs everywhere around you, and then, yeah, it's a pretty fun boss battle so far. His bombs don't hurt him, however, or else he'd just be blowing himself up, and it would be a really easy and stupid boss fight, so they don't damage him. So I think he's a good enemy for the second chapter of this game, which is going to be in another public alpha, which I will release once we hit 100 subs. Or if we don't, I'll just release the final game in December with the Chapter 2 stuff and the Chapter 3 stuff. Then I got bored and watched the Carlson official reveal trailer that Danny posted on his second channel called Danny 2, and I saw the hit markers and the reload wheel thing, and I thought that was really cool and I needed to add that to my game. And so I did. The hit marker is pretty simple. It's just like a red crosshair that I rotated 45 degrees, and when you hit something, it sets active, and then it delays a bit and sets active false. Then the reload wheel. That was actually much easier than I thought. I just took a fill image, put a background under it, and then when you're shooting and you need to reload, it takes a time.delta time, and then it turns the fill of the actual image over, like, you divide it by the reload time. And now there's a wheel. So that helps the player visualize stuff much better instead of having to count and not knowing when your gun is reloading. After these UI updates, I decided I also need to update some more UI. And so I added a text box at the bottom of the screen so that when you're in a boss fight, the bosses can like talk, but kind of in like the Pokemon way where they have voice, like just like lines, and then you put that onto the text thing and they speak every few seconds. And this is easily done. You just take the strings that you want them, like lines of dialogue that you want them to say, and put them into an array of strings, and it'll just pump out every like couple seconds or however long you want it to be, and you just adjust the intervals. So that's done, and I think the game has a bit of personality now, because before that it was just really boring and like humorless. I do have a new boss enemy, which is Derek, but I don't have the overworld above ground stage to implement him yet, and overworld is going to be chapter 2, so he's going to be the boss for chapter 2, and then that will be his boss room, but I don't have the art for that yet, so that's going to be put on hold. Another thing I added this week was animations to the weapons, because right now there's no visual feedback on when you fire the guns. The sounds are pretty sweet because I got them online for free, but you know, you can't really tell when you're firing if you have the sound off, besides from the muzzle flash, but the muzzle flash is also not that good, so I'll work on that later. But I'm kind of bad with Unity's particle system. As much as I love it, I'm kind of bad at it. And so I've decided to add some basic animations. I'll only have two, which is firing and reloading. The firing is just going to be a simple tilt back of the gun, so it just like flies back a bit, and then yeah. I also decided to add a spin for the reload because we all know spin is cool. I made these animations in Unity's animation timeline and added them to an animator controller. Then I changed all the pivots on the guns, so then they spin around their trigger and not around their center, because you can't spin a gun on its center unless, you know, it's on the floor, and you have to spin around your trigger, or else, you know, it wouldn't spin and it wouldn't reload, and it would look bad. So then I adjusted the pivots, and then I readjusted all the positions, because when you change the pivot, it changes the positions. Once you change the pivots, it changes all the positions, and yeah. Then I added a couple lines of code in my player weapon script, so that when you shoot or when you reload, the current weapon will run or play the animation, and yeah, that works. I think this looks much better and really added a lot to my game. That's the end of this video, and remember, the public alpha is available to download. You can play the game for yourself. Subscribe, like, and follow me on my socials. And yeah, if you have any feedback on the game, you can put it in the itch.io game page in the comment section, or just leave it in this comment section, or tweet at me. Thanks for watching. I'm working hard on my game and the next devlog video. See ya!